where real dialogue matters.
Make some noise for that sound, man.
It is time to take flight with Audio Airstrike.
This is Audio Airstrike, and I'm Everett Hall-McNeill. Thank you for joining us. This is episode 147. Message has been sent. I have a special guest with me at this time. Ladies and gentlemen, you know him. He's a reoccurring guest. He's been on Audio Airstrike multiple times. Jeff Henson is with us. Man, thank you for coming on. I appreciate you for coming on. How you been?
Good, man. It's always a pleasure to come back. It's always a pleasure to come back and talk about controversial shit. Because I like it when it's controversy. I like it when it's hectic. I don't like it when it's soft and outspoken. Downspoken. I like it when it's real outspoken. So, let's do it.
Well, as you know, and you've been on Audio Airstrike multiple times, we are always outspoken regardless of whatever we say. We try to be as fair as possible. We do try to be honest. Now, I want to get into this, and I know that this has been touched on in certain areas, but I don't think we ever touched on it on this show. And that is stuff with the NFL, but more so not necessarily from a sports perspective, but more so from a hypocrisy perspective. I remember distinctly years ago, or not too long ago, before the incidents with George Floyd and Breonna Taylor and stuff like that happened, this was a reoccurring argument back and forth when Colin Kaepernick was doing his peaceful protest. Now, keep in mind, this was way before it was accepted on a national scale to take a knee, even though taking a knee is not as disrespectful as people think. At that particular time, some people felt that his peaceful protest was disrespectful. Others felt that it was needed. And he did that at a time where it was not socially acceptable to protest in that way. Now, fast forward to now. Now we have everybody willing to take a knee, everybody willing to speak out, and it has become more comfortable. But also, at this point, people are more frustrated over the issues. Now, the NFL has finally decided that they're going to support this initiative wholeheartedly across the board.
Like a trend.
Right, like a trend. Meanwhile, they were not supporting it when Colin Kaepernick had all these issues. So there are a lot of ways this could have went. I don't think it was genuine for them to turn around after years of banishing Colin Kaepernick, ignoring the race injustice in fear of profit gains, or in fear, I should say, of profit loss, that now, because it is trendy and you see the majority of folks outraged and standing for something, that now you want to follow suit. Those who genuinely didn't understand and now are getting the education and now want to make a change, that's different. But I'm talking about the ones that could have cared less about this because they were in fear it was going to hurt their pockets. I'm not surprised, but at the same time, I still bring shame on the NFL for doing this.
Hypocrites.
Because you can't sit over here and talk about you want to do stuff for cancer patients, you want to do stuff for the armed forces, you want to do stuff for those who are battling other illnesses, you want to do something for Women's Day or something like that, you want to do something for Christmas and stuff of that nature, Thanksgiving, whatever the cause is. But when it comes to race relations, people get cold feet. And the fans, don't even get me started on the fans. Because I feel like pockets of the fan base have shown hypocrisy as well. You said that he was shaming the country way back when Colin Kaepernick did a peaceful protest. He didn't have his knee on the flag. He took a knee during the Pledge of Allegiance. And if you did your research, you would understand that how the Pledge of Allegiance was really written. It was not written in mind for people of African American descent. Those lyrics were taken out. If you think I'm lying, do the research. However, back then they make these excuses about he was disrespecting the flag. And when the Chiefs and the Texans back at, initial game 1 or when the season started this year, the few fans that were in attendance due to the pandemic booed. They weren't taking a knee during the national anthem. They were taking a knee for social injustice and racial injustice, which brought to attention and confirmed what many have all been thinking, that this was never about the flag. This was about the fact that people don't want to see true unity. Now that I've said my piece, I'm going to let Jeff say his piece.
I've said it so many times in my life. You cannot spell unity without unity. Even if we just strip everything down and we strictly talk about football, the amount of bonds, if you play football, the amount of bonds and relationships you create and the people you play with, it becomes a brotherhood. I've never played a game of football to where my African American brother that was beside me, or whether it was my Asian brother or my Mexican brother or whoever, didn't have my back on that field. We played together, we ate together, we celebrated together, we got our asses whipped together, showed us some heated emotions, but it never got to the point to where, hey, fuck you, you white motherfucker, or fuck you, you know what I mean? It never got to that point. And that's because football brought us together. Football has a means. Sports in general have a means of doing things like that. Any sport that you play, whether it's boxing, whether you want to do jiu-jitsu, basketball, you are playing with and dealing with multiple cultures at one time. Unless you're playing one of them retarded ass solo sports like golf, no offense, but it's boring as hell. You're dealing with multiple cultures people. And I'm bringing all this up because football, the NFL in general, is one of the biggest, and I say biggest, American sport. It's not like the other sports that's, super big in all the other countries, like soccer. Soccer's big in like every country. We have an American sport, which brings, direct fan base from right here in our own country. They had a chance to get behind Kaepernick. Now, I'm not going to sit here and act like, all right, Kaepernick didn't mean any disrespect by it. I do feel like he meant disrespect by it. I do feel like he meant good by it as well. But I don't think he thought that shit through. I think he had a conversation with somebody and he was like, dude, I want to bring some light on this situation. And somebody said, hey, why don't you go kneel? I thought in that moment, he's like, you know what? Yeah, you're right. I'm a kneel. Fuck that flag. That's what I feel like he really felt. I still feel that way. But I do feel like he was definitely trying to shed some light and bring some good into this situation. He was trying to protest. He was trying to do something that wasn't disrespectful to the point of going out there throwing fucking Molotovs in the buildings and shit. He wanted to kneel so that he's not going to stand up for this country that's not standing up for him. So, like I said, I do feel like he was trying to bring good into it. But in that moment, I do feel like he fucked up and he meant it with disrespect. Which, can you blame him for feeling that way? If you're a black man being harassed by the cops, or if you're a black man who's being told, hey, fuck you, you're not a slave, you weren't a slave, your great-great-grandparents were slaves. Who the fuck wants to hear that? Nobody wants to fucking hear that. We don't give a fuck what we personally went through. We give a fuck about the history and what the history is still doing over and over and over. The redlining, the racial oppression, God damn it, what do you call it? When you see somebody of suspect,
the racial profile.
profiling, man, I'm slipping today. When you racially profile somebody, all of that chimes into what he was trying to stand up for. And what did the NFL do? Straight up kicked him the fuck out. Oh, we don't support him and his cause. It's 2015 or whatever the hell that shit happened. And now look, you're sitting here telling me today, after all this is said and done, and now they're back in the cause like a trend, trying to get as much PR as possible. They ain't fooling nobody. He still ain't on the team. When we got fucking Fitzpatrick still playing for Miami out here, we got Mitchell Trubisky getting sat for Nick Foles. You're sitting here telling me there's not one team that would pick him up on this offseason? So you're sitting here telling me that Dwayne Haskins is still a starter. But yet he's still ain't being picked up, and he's the biggest reason for the NFL to say, oh, we were wrong. If it wasn't for him doing what he did, the NFL ain't wrong. They just jumping on the trend, just like NBA's doing. The NBA's jumping on the trend. They weren't wrong because you know why? Because they didn't stop people from doing anything. It just didn't happen. They put it out early, hey, don't do what Kaepernick did, or that's your career. Sorry. So my point is, which there is actually a point, if the NFL is just going to hop around like that and hop on and on like a trend, how are we going to inspire other people to do it for the right reasons instead of just being like, hey, I'm cool, I'm marching. March for the right reasons. Don't march to be on a fucking trend. And this is the problem that I've been running into. I have a homegirl. I'm not going to say no names because we don't do that on here. Unless she pisses me off, then I will blast some bitches. you know,
we're calling women, but not call them bitches, please.
I put wait until I finish telling you, and then I bet you agree she's a bitch. So I had a homegirl when we were doing Blackout on Instagram and all that stuff. Put a blackout picture on. Let me tell you, she messages me. What exactly don't they have? That was literally a response to my Instagram post or my Instagram story with the picture of my blackout. Then her response underneath of it. What exactly don't they have? So I wrote back, the fuck you talking about? Question mark, question mark. You know how I talk. I get straight to the point.
I know.
I got a friend in the military. He's a black man. He's a very good friend of mine. He can buy a house. He can get a job. He don't have any issues. Well, I'm glad your fucking black friend that isn't dealing with fucking other issues of being redlined out there living in the fucking suburbs with you doesn't have these issues. Congratulations. That's awesome. I'm glad that he was able to have an effective life. I was like, well, what about the other fucking 200 million people that can't? Which I'm definitely exaggerating the numbers because I really don't know. I don't know how many. I don't understand the statistics on all that.
But it's a lot of us.
So then she goes, like, you people.
Wow.
What people? What people exactly am I? You tell me, because it's not like I'm going on Instagram posting a fucking rant about how I'm not going to stand for this and all these, I'm sick and tired of white people. I ain't post none of that shit. All I did was posted a picture, and it offended somebody to the point where they felt they had to message me with their opinion. Your opinion doesn't matter. You're already good. Stay the fuck back. You don't want to be a part of it? Stay away from it then.
Right. And they have to understand the fact that my rights or the rights that I'm fighting for does not stop at your feelings and does not stop based on your reality. Okay. So she can think whatever she wants to think. Okay. The reality of the situation is that people are being oppressed out here. And just because that you may live in an area where you may not see it as much does not mean it doesn't exist. And people have to understand it. I've never seen, to be honest with you, I'll be honest. I've never seen so many people this selfish ever in my life as they are right now.
I agree.
The stupidity, the outrageous antics, the the shameful comments, the lack of empathy for another human being, it's very, very repulsive to me. Because if I was in that person's shoes, I would have a certain level of empathy. Like, I don't understand, because I'm not wired that way. I'm not wired to be ignorant. I'm not wired to be an evil person. I'm not wired to be shameful and spiteful and hateful. I'm just not wired that way. Am I perfect? Thought. No.
Hold that thought.
Yeah.
My thing is, right, if I see somebody crying, right, I'm gonna take this all the way around the corner. If I see somebody crying at the bus stop, my first initiative is, hey, you good? You all right? Not to sit there and say, hey, you shouldn't be crying. There's other people that have it worse. Well, excuse the fuck out of me for going through something. And here's my thing. When the whole Black Lives Matter movement, or the hashtag is what people would like to call it, because that's all it is, you know, and that's a whole other topic. I'm gonna tell you, I've been dealing with some motherfuckers on Facebook, but I done lost my damn point.
No, you said you were talking about the hashtag and the Black Lives Matter and the lady.
When it all happened, it's not like you were out here going, you know what? We're tired of this. We built this country. We're taking this country back. We want slaves in place of this to make this history, right? None of that shit was said. It's not like you were out here going, well, we want our taxes lowered as well. Now, I did see a couple of things about where's our equity and stuff, which I 100% agree with. If you help build this fucking country, you should have equity. If your master, as they would like to call them, right? If your master owned a fucking farm or owned a fucking steel mill, and you were a part of that family, what the fuck are your royalties? There's a whole lot we can get into, but exactly my point is, if you built this fucking country, or you helped build this country, because there's a lot of people that like to get their opinions involved in that, why the fuck don't you have equity? But yet they expect, right? They expect people to climb out of the red line that they fucking traced for them, and to not be thugs, or to not be stealing to survive, or to not, or to know what it's like to grow up in an area to where you're not being fucking beaten into gangs because you don't have no choice, or just being shot at for sitting on a fucking step. You don't have a lot of choices. A little bit of my story is, right, not to make this about me, but I grew up in the hood. I went to a hood school. Guess who didn't finish school? I didn't. You know why I didn't get to finish school? Because I got kicked the fuck out of school for defending myself. Whether I was defending myself for being white, whether I was defending myself just to defend myself because I was big, or whatever the case may be, they decided they wanted to fuck with me that day. They fucked with the wrong one. Now, I'm not on here going, you know what? Them two black dudes and that Mexican kid try to jump me because I'm white. I'm not saying that. They try to jump me because they knew who the fucking superior motherfucker was. Because they couldn't fight me one-on-one. Has nothing to do with race. I got kicked out of school for that. Now, a lot of people might try to twist that. I said I'm superior. I don't mean that in a racial way. Yeah, I think I'm superior to a lot of men. Not just because, you know what I mean? Not just because, but for one, I trained to be that way. I busted my ass to learn how to fight. I busted my ass day in and day out, going running and hitting the heavy bag and doing things to learn how to fight to defend myself because of where I grew up, to go on a better path, to play sports, do all those different things. I did that. So you're fucking right. I have that right to say I'm superior. Unless you show me something else. But my point being, when you are being taught day in and day out to be divided, literally every 4 years, we have to choose a side. Realize that. We're being taught every 4 years to choose a side. Whether you're Republican, Socialist, Democratic, it don't fucking matter. You have to pick someone, which means you have to choose or don't vote. And if you don't vote, guess what? Your opinion doesn't matter because you didn't vote for the person you wanted. So if they get in there and they fuck this country up, or they do something like raise your taxes 3% like Joe Biden's trying to do, all right, this ain't getting political. We ain't getting political on the but you get my point. We're chose to choose. Everything you do, when they put an NBA game on and there's an NFL game on, you have to choose. Skip it from sports. Are you an Xbox fan or are you a PlayStation fan? You have to choose. Now, some can choose both. That's awesome. Some can't, which divides you. Everything that happens in this country or in this world is divisive. You listen to this song, oh, fuck that song. I like this song, which is all cool. That's when it's nice. That's when it's okay to have a different of opinion. That's when it's okay to debate. But now you're telling me that we have to choose between all lives matter here, Black lives matter here. When nobody's seeing the big fucking picture that's right here, that is lives. Bang, bang, bang. We're being divided on trying to better a cause for another culture. And that's not right. You know what I mean? That's fucked up. This is the world we're living in right now. We can't come together because there's always something. Blue lives this, red lives that. I mean,
and there's always some type of agenda, and there's always, it's one of those situations when I look at it where you're constantly battling, and it shouldn't even be that way. Like, I hate to say this, but I feel like nowadays I have to be careful who I talk with, because I can't have a progressive, solution-based conversation with someone that just wants to argue for sport. I'm not here for sport.
People get offended quick. Snap of a finger.
Right. And it could be one trigger word that just ticks them off that you may not know. And they out here looking at biased news, looking out here, and let me tell you something. If you get your opinion from biased news media outlets or Facebook post, then I'm not surprised you get offended over the littlest thing. I'm not surprised you get argumentative, because that's where you're pulling from. That stuff is divisive. My solution for that is try to figure out an article that is in the middle of the road so you can make a better assessment on your choices. Outside of that, I think we need to get back to solution-based conversations. I will say this about the decade prior and the decade before that. In the 90s, if you had an opinion on something, okay, I disagree with you, but that's your opinion. They let it go. In the 2000s, same thing. 2010s started to shift a little bit.
We're in a sensitive world now, man.
It started to shift a little bit. Now we're in a situation where I can't even say who I'm voting for or who I'm not voting for without being called, you stupid, you're an idiot, where'd you get your opinion from, what's wrong with you, you're a clown, what you doing, are you racist, are you homophobic, are you, all of these different things. When the reality of the situation is, you need to be asking, what policies can we change? What stuff how can we vote locally more than we're supposed to? Who is our senator and our congressman locally? Who are in these local positions that we need to talk to make sure some of these things don't get changed?
Facts.
But you guys want to have an argument over one position and not paying out of a bit of attention to what's going on locally. It doesn't make sense to me.
You guys know what I'm tired of hearing?
Yeah.
I'm going to tell you, because it actually ties into what you said. I'm tired of hearing my state is fucked up, right? And this is multiple states overall, not just ours, because we have a Democratic ran state or we have a Republican ran state. It's fucked up for that reason. No, it's fucked up because you voted the wrong motherfucker in. You voted the wrong fucking governor in. You voted the wrong fucking state official in. You don't have the right fucking juror in there, so you're complaining about your fucking, people getting arrested for dumb shit. This is all shit that you have the power to control, but you don't, because someone tells you when you're very young, right, that your vote don't matter. And I'm going to tell you, I used to be one of them people, because I was always told that Congress ran this country. I was always told Congress ran this country. I was always told the Senate got the final vote. This is all shit that I didn't realize until I had to study it on my own. I had to learn it for myself. And then I got fed the fuck up with just the shit that was going on. Being overtaxed. Can't afford to do this. I mean, from 2000 to 2014, and this isn't me trying to pump Trump up at all. This is really not. We had the highest taxes, the highest fucking gas fuel ever. Literally, ever. Our economy was down by like 17 point some percent. I don't remember all the statistics. But I remember there was a point when you couldn't even get a job. And you were a fucking college graduate. Now here we are, 2016 till now, under Trump. And again, I'm not trying to pump Trump up. I'm not picking no parties here, none of that shit. We have the highest economy growth that we've had until the pandemic. The least unemployment, which don't get me wrong, that could be very skewed. I don't really go off unemployment percentage and all that shit, because things could happen from now to then to here to there. Amazon is the biggest reason for the unemployment being so low. I mean, they literally took over the country and put in so many different things that employed, I think, almost 1 million people. So, that could be the reason for the unemployment thing.
Right.
But with that being said, when your unemployment's low, your economy's going to strive. Right? So all of that are things that people should be focusing on. Who's out here talking about real shit? And I'm going to tell you, initially, when I was watching the ballads, in the debate or whatever, I was sitting here listening to these two old ass motherfuckers argue. Like, you're calling one racist, the other one's calling you racist, and you both sound fucking retarded. Y'all ain't arguing about what the fuck the real issues are. How do we stop being racist? How do we start fucking fixing the economy? How do we fucking fix climate change? How do we fix all of that? Because it don't matter what you do or how you do it. If that sun burns through that motherfucking, that whatever the hell that damn thing is that blocks the sun rays.
Those on low.
Bam.
Could be wrong about that.
And it's getting lower and lower, according to scientists. Nobody listens to that shit, though. All people care about is, well, how do I get free money? How do I get this? How do I get that? You can't spend fucking money that's on fire. Look at California. Look at the tropical storms we've been hitting, and people keep saying, oh, it's a hoax. It ain't real. Blah, blah, blah. Looks pretty fucking real to me. You know what I mean?
And that's another thing. The level of ignorance to automatically assume that you're going to be on top of the food chain forever. Like, I'll be honest with you. I talked with a friend of mine. He literally said, he's like, bro, I'm thinking about leaving the country. I'm just sick and tired of the negativity, the negative culture. I said, I can go outside of the States and be more at peace than here. I said, you know what? I said, you got a point. And the sad part about this is when I look at, and I'm gonna skip over the Bill O'Brien topic because, it's really irrelevant at this point. I'm going to move on to Trump and talking about the coronavirus. When it comes to, for example, with the the Donald Trump. For those of you who, I'm pretty sure everybody knows at this point, he is tested positive for COVID. He left the hospital early, which my personal opinion, if you're dealing with an unknown virus that we've never seen before, that's the last thing you want to do. For the sake of your health and for the sake of the health of others, I think he should have personally stayed at Walter Reed Hospital. That's just me. And in terms of him putting lives in potentially in danger, like, let's be honest, Donald Trump is in his 70s.
He's
Donald
74.
Trump, yeah, he's 74. So
I'm not 100% sure, but I think he is.
Yeah. So I mean, we'll rock with the fact that he's in his 70s. So the issue that I have is that this has been debilitating. This virus can take out the most vulnerable people are the people, the senior citizens that are over 65. Am I correct about that? He is 70 some years old walking out there at times with no mask on before this. And now you're testing positive. And I know there are people that are going to sit over here and say, well, we don't know if this coronavirus thing is a hoax. We don't know if it's the bigger deal it really is. Let's pump the brakes here. We're on lockdown at times for a reason. The country has not opened back up in certain places for a reason. There have been people that have died from this for a reason. Yes, I get it. We got cigarettes out here. We have the common cold out here. That takes away people too. But, however, we still need to be safe and be smart about this. I don't think that was a smart move on his part. I'm not going to bash this guy. I just think that it was not a smart move on his part to get out of the hospital, as the second, the moment, the minute that he has tested positive for COVID. He should still be in the hospital at this point.
Yeah, especially when they tell you that it takes 2 weeks for it to get out of your system. So if you're cured and you feel great and all that shit, why the fuck aren't you quarantining? So here's my thing with the whole situation.
And also keep this in mind. I'm sorry to interrupt, man. Keep this in mind. My bad. Sorry to interrupt. I just want to reiterate this. There are several personnel close to Trump that have been in this White House that have been positive for COVID. Several.
His wife being one of them.
Right. Several in the White House that have tested positive for COVID. Now, I'll go into this. Then Jeff, I'm going to let you have it. I'm going to be quiet. My fear is...
This is what we do.
My fear is that if people get wind of this and if people see this and if people keep thinking, oh, well, if he can get out, then I shouldn't have a problem. You're not the president of the United States.
Yep.
There is stuff that he has access to that you don't. Play with that virus if you want to. I'm not trying to fearmonger everybody. But I'm saying be safe. Don't do anything drastic or stupid. And don't think because the president is outside with his mask off, standing in defiance, that you can do the same thing. You don't have the access to the things that he has access to. Some of you. A lot of you. So before you sit over here and think about something or call this virus a hoax, I know people that have personally struggled with this virus. This is not a joke. I've heard the conversations that they've had. I've talked with these people. This is not a joke, people. This thing is affecting lives. Yeah. And I know what the numbers say. I know there's some low numbers out there and whatnot. I know that there's more of a chance I could get in a car crash and get this virus in some parts. That doesn't matter to me. The fact remains is that this virus is capable of taking somebody out. And God forbid, I do not want it to be anybody's family member or friend or anything like that. So I just want to reiterate, I think he should have quarantined before he came back out.
I think he should have led by example. Is what I was trying to get to. He should have led by example, because not only does he have a mass influence on a lot of people, there was literally people fucking trying to drink bleach when he made the statement about trying to inject bleach to kill the virus. Literally, people were trying to drink bleach, which means he has a mass influence on a lot of people. He should be leading by example, not out fucking riding around on a fucking Harley Davidson or whatever the fuck he was doing. And I'm not going to sit here and I'm not a Trump basher. Do I agree with some of the shit he says? I fucking definitely don't. He sounds like a fucking asshole 80% of the time. But I will say, economically, I think he's doing a fantastic job. His term is done for just the American people in general, for just working and having more money come back to us tax-wise, all that shit. I think he's done great. But when it comes to other situations, like the COVID thing, I think he totally dropped the ball on COVID. Maybe you and I are fucking immune to it. We're young and healthy. But the people that aren't, that are his age, and here's my own other problem with it. It's not like he's a young 35-year-old president, 40-year-old president. He's a 70-year-old man. So now people are just not looking at it like this. Hey, don't be scared of COVID, he said. You can beat it. Okay, well, maybe they don't have your billion-dollar fucking health. You know, you obviously taken care of yourself for years. These people that are fucking sitting in their house and they sit in their rocking chairs and they're retired and they're eating fucking Twinkies and ho-hos and shit, they didn't take care of themselves. Some of them people couldn't even afford health care under the Obama Act. I couldn't. You knew that. I couldn't afford health care to save my life until Trump did away with it. Now look, I fucking got my back surgery. I'm getting better. My health is getting better. And I'm not bashing Obama either. This isn't a boost Trump bash Obama. This ain't Republican versus Democrats. This is us trying to educate people so that they start making the right decisions.
Absolutely.
We're giving you our opinions, but our opinions are also not politically correct. You know, our opinions are our opinions. You know, me saying, hey, Trump's doing a great job, Everett might not feel that way, which is fine. We can have a healthy discussion. And it doesn't change anything at the end of the day. But I think he should have led by example, quarantined, let people know he's doing fine. That's very important. Start massing out them executive orders because we waiting for our money off this bitch. My motherfucking stimulus, baby.
Well, he already said he's not doing that until after re-election.
Yeah,
so
yeah. He's just trying to bait some shit. Look, this is what he does. This is what he's good at, right? He's for one, he's making Pelosi look bad, which we all know she's a fucking screw job and a half. He's making Pelosi look bad, saying, hey, so this is what I want to ask you, right? If Trump has the power to executive order whatever the fuck he wants, why is he going, hey, Pelosi, we have the money for the $1,200 stimulus right now. We can send it out. Just agree to it. She don't have to agree to it. This is how I know what he's doing is all a part of this campaign. It's all a part of his campaign. It's all a part of just
making the other side look bad.
Kind of. And I think that's one of his biggest downfalls. It's him versus this, him versus that. It doesn't have to be. When we can finally get together and we can get a party in there, or how about just a presidential race where they're not sitting there back and forth calling each other fucking scandalous, scandalous motherfuckers.
Right.
I will have hope for this country. A lot of people say Obama was a cool motherfucker, but we all remember him versus Hillary, and that shit wasn't pleasant. We all remember him versus McCain, and that shit wasn't pleasant. And my problem with it is our kids are sitting here growing up, and they're seeing, this next generation that are 18 and old enough to vote, just watch these two old white motherfuckers with their overprivileged asses argue about somebody else's money, somebody else's problems. Because let's be honest, when Trump was like, you've been in office 28 years and you ain't did shit, he ain't lying. What the fuck has he done what has he done for what has he done for the hood? What has he done for the red line? Nobody can pull that shit up. He wasn't lying about that shit. I mean, this dude's over here saying Trump's a racist, right? Which he might be. I don't fucking know. I don't know that dude personally. But then you got videos of Biden out here saying shit like, I was able to get through the pandemic because the black woman stocked the shelves. What? Like, Are you fucking serious? Who the fuck wrote off for you to say that, and why didn't they stop you?
It's very, very sad, bro.
But yet, hey, what else he say? If you don't vote for me, are you even black? Bro, we are fucked, regardless. But I think we're fucked less under Trump, and that's just my opinion. But
yeah, I think at the end of the day, I think that I want a leader that's going to lead by example. I want to look at whoever our leaders are and be like, okay, they have our best interests because they're talking about these issues. What I want is that I want us to, as a people, to be more involved in what's going on in the state, because what's going to affect you in the state is going to affect you more in many cases than federal. So when we sit over here and we having these discussions and people want to, bite each other's ankles, like we're just wasting time. We need to ask questions on as to what are these rules, who is making them, and how is this going to affect our bottom line? How is this going to affect the middle class? How is this going to affect the higher class? How is that going to affect the lower income families? How is that going to marginalize minorities? Is it going to benefit minorities? Is it going to hurt minorities? These are all questions that we need to ask, because there has been so much stuff that passes through the state that people don't even know it's passed through. Over the years, I can't even go into all the stuff that passed through the state, and people are not paying attention to it until the crap hits the fan. It's too late. So it's one of those situations when I sit over here and look at it that we have to start asking these questions and unify. And also, when somebody is giving you their experience, stop nitpicking it. It's their freaking experience. I hate that. If I'm telling you I went through this, there's a reason why I'm telling you I went through this. So you have the insight. We can come together and figure out how to work on something. That is why I'm telling you. But if all you're going to do is criticize my humanity and livelihood, I have a problem with that. Like, at some point, we have to put our prejudices aside. At some point, we have to put our preferences aside. I have to reach across the table and work with somebody who's a different religion than me. I don't care what his religion is at this point. I'm trying to make sure we all good, period. I don't care who he's supporting politically. Now, granted, there are some people I just can't get with politically. But if he's reaching across the table and said, hey, man, I'm just here to help the whole entire situation, but I need education on something. If he's that open or she's that open, give her the advice. And if you and let me say this, you're going to have people that are constantly, because they make money off of it, they're going to constantly want to spew division. And if you're smart, you'll ignore it. If you're smart, you'll focus on who are the people that I can link up with that don't care about Republican and Democrat. Who are the people that I can link up with that don't care about race? Who are the people that I can link up with that just want to see everybody do well? Who are the people that are going to link up to when I talk about my experience, they're going to listen. They're going to listen to understand where I'm coming from instead of listen to reply. Who are these people? When I see those people, those are the people that I'm going to link up with and move forward with. And at the end of the day, that's what matters. I want solution-based conversations. I don't have time to argue about your intellect. I don't have time to argue about my intellect.
Nobody should argue about intellect. Everybody should be trying to learn from another person.
It's hard to do that when you got a bunch of people walking around with fragile egos.
Here's my thing, right? That's another thing the president leads by, having a big-ass ego. But we're done with that talk. Fuck that talk.
Right.
I don't think that we are ever going to get over, just division in general. We are so divided that you put in the application, it doesn't matter where you put an application in, it asks you what fucking race you are. Why does that matter? Why the fuck can't I just put I'm American?
You know what I started doing? I don't disclose my race. That's what I started doing recently.
Put other.
I'm not going to disclose my I'm not going to disclose my race, because why is it on there? Why does it matter? If I'm qualified, if I cross every T and dot every I in terms of education, in terms of skill, for the job, why does it matter what race I'm in?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That's the part that really gets to me. You know, it's one of those situations where we have to start thinking unselfishly. And I'll be honest with you. I've said it to Jeff before, and I'll say it again to anybody. I've seen more selfishness within the past 2 years of my life than I've seen ever before. And I've had personal experiences where I've had people act selfish, and trust me and believe, if you know me, you know I've cut those people off. However, I've seen people in general just act so selfish, so ignorant, and so stupid, and so lacking empathy that it's kind of treacherous, it's kind of terrible. I want to switch gears here to something. We got a little bit of tough news. We found out that legendary guitarist of the band Van Halen, Eddie Van Halen, passed away at 55. Very, very, very sad news. The rock world. If you are a huge fan of rock music, this hits hard. His wife, I think so, made a tweet. She said, 40 years ago, my life changed forever when I met you. You gave me the one true light in my life. Our son, Wolfgang, through all of your challenging treatments for lung cancer, you kept your gracious spirit and your impish grin. Hope I pronounced that right. I'm so grateful Wolf and I are able to hold you in in your last moments. I will see you in our next life, my love. That is what his wife Valerie said. So rest in peace to Eddie Van Halen, the legendary guitarist and co-founder of one of the most famous rock groups, Van Halen. He had a long battle with cancer. His ex-wife, he leaves behind his wife Jane, along with his son Wolfgang, and his ex-wife Valerie and Alex, Eddie's brother and drummer. Classic ballads, excellent life, lived it to the fullest, one of the most famous guitarists ever. So definitely rest in peace to him. Jeff, you got any thoughts?
Yeah, man. I mean, you nailed it in the coffin. No pun. That was no pun intended. But yeah, you pretty much nailed it in. Like he's a legend, man. He's one of the best, and we definitely lost a great one in the rock world. And all my condolences out to his family and whoever's struggling with his loss. I know some people take celebrities' deaths to heart. I try to sympathize with that, even though I'm not one of those people. But it does definitely sucks, man. We lost a legend. R.I.P.
Yeah, absolutely, man. When you hear the guitar riffs on a Van Halen track, it's going to hit different. So definitely we want to give our condolences and our prayers to the Van Halen family. Rest in peace, Eddie. We definitely appreciate all you contributed to the world of music and also helped so many people feel good about themselves. We're switching gears over here. Netflix is about to get the book thrown at them. No surprise, because there's a lot of controversy about the film Cuties, which I think was like a French film. Netflix has been indicted. This is based off of Fox News. Netflix has been indicted on criminal charges that alleges the streaming giant platform promotes lewd visual material of a child. This is based on the film Cuties that was currently streaming on Netflix. A Tyler County, Texas grand jury moved to return the indictment against Netflix on September 23rd. Fox News confirmed on Tuesday via court documents. Here are my thoughts, right? And Jeff, I'll let you chime in as always. When we look at the Netflix issue, there was a lot of controversy on Facebook about a few weeks ago about this film. I've always found it weird that we dress up little girls. Remember back in the day, this was kind of big now. I don't know if it was big in the 90s. I don't know if it's still big now. These pageants that be going on where they have these young girls like dolled up in the face. They're wearing like almost pretty much grown adult outfits, and they strut out or whatever they do at a pageant. I always felt creepy about that.
Man, that was literally about to be my example. Just take that shit. You might as well just take it away. I was literally about to bring that up.
I mean, literally, it is creepy to me. Like, it always creeped me out. There was nothing cute about it that I felt, because in my mind, even at a young age, I was like, son, this is like somebody's 10-year-old daughter. I'm thinking about this as a young teen. I'm like, this is somebody's 10-year-old daughter up on stage acting like she's 26, 27, going to, or 21, going to the club for the first time. That's how she's looking right now. Like, it was scary to me. I was like, oh, pump the brakes. This is not cool. So when this film came out and I heard similar things, like how these girls are being portrayed in this film, I said, I can't watch it. I'm not even going to waste my time watching it. I'm not even going to indulge into this, because I'm about letting the kids be kids. I am not going to force them to grow up faster than what they need to. I'm not dolling them up with makeup. I'm not going to sit over there and, try to dictate, I mean, now, honestly, these are children. They need guidance and stuff of that nature. But there's also comes to a point where you have to let these kids be kids and let them grow up.
They do it in the schools, man.
Yeah.
Think about it. Just sit here and think about it. Up to the 5th grade, right? They're giving you recess. You got cute little cutouts and shit. You do cute little things for your parents at home during holidays. And then you get to 6th grade or middle school, wherever area, because some people have middle school in 7th grade. And then you're like a whole new culture shock. They're like forcing you to be a fucking adult now. You go from going to one classroom and, having one teacher to you're literally going and you're going to multiple classrooms and everything is about school. It's not about, everything else. You don't have the fun no more. It's like they want you to grow up immediately. And it's like, as soon as you get to middle school, that's when girls start to look better. That's when everything is about, hey, it's not about the light up shoes no more. Now we need the Jordans. We need the Nikes. The culture changes. And I think that when everything is done in the schools to where you get to high school and they're not even teaching you anything about life. Here, read this, read that, read this history. I don't fucking need to know the history. The history ain't getting me nowhere. That history should not count towards whatever the fuck I got going on in school. If I'm taking history and I must know, what happened in 1912 with the Cold War or whatever, not the Cold War, whatever fucking war it was, then be my guest. Don't make it count towards my damn, grade. Don't let that be the reason I fail or pass. And I'm gonna be honest, I didn't even watch that movie. I didn't even hear about it. So I don't know.
I didn't even waste my time either. It was too disturbing for me.
Like, I didn't really, I heard about it. I heard it was controversial. And then I read 2 articles. One was, basically defending it. And the other was basically saying, oh, he's your old white fucking child molesters or whatever that did the movie. But the other one that I read that was defending it was basically saying that the movie is based on those characters. Those characters are real life characters that they're creating in the movie, and that's why they're doing the things they're doing. Which I get, but at the same time, we live in a world where we already said 10 times on this podcast is oversensitized. Do I think it's disgusting? They got little kids on there dancing and twerking and whatever the fuck they're doing. I honestly don't even know what are they stripping? Like, what are they doing exactly?
It's similar to the pageant stuff. It's like
pageant stuff.
It's similar to like it's on that line to where somebody else will think it's cute, but I could see why somebody else would be like, no, I'm not putting my child through this. Something
And I agree.
doesn't feel right about
that
it.
pageant shit, man. Why are we dressing kids up like they're fucking 1940 hookers? You know what I mean? I don't see why the fuck they need eyeshadow and all that shit when they're fucking 10 years old. Same with like models and shit. You're not putting a model on there and that model is naturally, being photographed. You're putting a model on there and then you're fucking painting her face for her. Then using a filter. It's like this world we live in forces us to feel ugly, forces us to feel like we're not enough, forces us to feel like things are too hard, forces us to grow up too quick, forces us to be in situations where we have anxiety, where we cause depression, where we get depression, where we're forced to be bullies, where we're forced to be bullied, And what are we doing about that? We're doing nothing. We got instead, hey, we're gonna sell tobacco $1 billion a year, and then we're gonna tell you why you shouldn't smoke it. How about stop fucking selling it instead of saying, here, smoke with caution? You know what I mean? Now, don't get me wrong. I know there's gonna be millions and billions of people that ain't gonna agree with that. We're non-smokers. We can just say that shit willy-nilly.
Right.
But I can guarantee we wouldn't have as much problem with people that can't go without smoking a cigarette without punching a fucking wall if it was never introduced to them back in the day. If that pyramid scheme that they created to make millions of dollars off of to fucking kill people with, then we wouldn't have these issues. We wouldn't have this much pollution in the sky. We wouldn't have, people dying from throat cancer and fucking sounding like this. But I've been smoking 50 years. It's not killing me yet. Yet. That 80-year life you could have had, it just dropped down to 50. Cool.
Mm-hmm.
But you don't give a fuck because you've been doing it for 30 years and it hasn't killed you yet. That's a lovely thing to say for someone who smoked twice and got throat cancer from it. That's a lovely thing to say for someone who's never fucking smoked a day in their life and they got cancer from secondhand smoke. That's a lovely thing to say when you're throwing your fucking cigarette butts in our rivers and shit. I can go on for hours and I don't give not one fuck about it. There ain't not one person that can sit here and try to fucking tell me that it's their life and they'll smoke what they want. I don't do what the fuck you want then. But don't let it affect me. Because now that it's affecting me, now it's my life, motherfucker. And cool. That's awesome. But I can guarantee there's not one person that can debate with me or argue with me while smoking's okay, and I'll never agree with it. Tobacco is the biggest scam in this fucking country.
Yeah, it definitely is. And coming from somebody who has never smoked a cigarette or anything like that of the sort, I remember, and I just want to say this with precaution, shouts to my Aunt B, rest in peace. But I remember being 10 years old and telling her, because she used to smoke heavy. I remember telling her, she was tough as nails, but she smoked a lot. And I remember telling her, I was like, look, like, you ain't going to make it. I'm telling her this at 10 years old. I said, look, you need to stop this or it'll kill you. The last image I saw of her before she passed, she was hooked up to a breathalyzer, looked straight at me. I looked straight back at her. The look on my face was, I tried to tell you. And I'm not saying that to throw her legacy, but I'm just saying, I'm just using that to bring awareness to people that, everybody is so worried about COVID, and you have a right to be, and I'm not saying you shouldn't. Everybody is worried about the flu or the, getting the, the standard flu shot, which I don't personally take for personal reasons. Everybody's worried about this, but they're still puffing a cigarette. That's taking years off your life.
Listen,
and
I've never met someone that smoked, right? That hasn't tried to quit smoking. If you love it and you stand by it so much, why'd you try to quit? I've never met a person that's quit smoking that doesn't feel better from not smoking anymore. Those are 2 reasons to stop smoking. Right? And I can give you a million reasons to stop smoking. 2 reasons right there. I bet you tried to quit, unless you're a fresh, brand new smoker, or you just don't give a fuck. Or someone who has smoked before and has stopped can tell you that they feel 10 times better. Right there alone. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah.
And this isn't me bashing people that smoke. I'm not sitting here trying to put people down, make people feel like they ain't shit because they're doing what they're doing. You know what I mean? I have good friends that smoke. I have family that smoke. I know people that smoke that, have tried to quit smoking 25 fucking times. But at the end of the day, you need to realize that there are repercussions to what you're doing to yourself. There's repercussions to what you're doing to people around you, and there's repercussions to what you're doing to your air, all of it, to your ground. You're just throwing cigarette butts on the ground. And for the people that aren't, congratulations. You're making this world much better, one step at a time. But to the people that are, you know who the fuck you are. Bottom line.
Yeah, and I wanted to pinpoint what you were saying about this world has programmed a lot of people to feel ugly and feel like they have to have an outside resource for certain things. There was a Facebook study by some mental health researchers that basically said if you concentrate on being authentic as possible, your mental health will be much better off. And this is an issue that we have dealt with, especially from the 2010s going into the 2020s. Guys, I just want to encourage you, those of you who are on TikTok, those of you who are on Facebook, those of you who are whatever social media platform that you are using, concentrate on being authentic. Concentrate on being the best you that you can be. Accept the flaws that you have. Don't look at them as flaws. Look at them as individual stuff that makes you unique. And if there is a flaw somewhere, instead of trying to hide it, embrace it, overcome it, push forward. I really don't let me take that back. I do understand why some people go above and beyond to become the opposite of authentic. I understand that. There's traumas, there's insecurity issues, there's a fragile ego, there's a lot of different things that happen. You had somebody in your past tell you you would never amount to anything, you were stupid, you were ugly, and this and that, and it affected you. Just carried it for 20, 15 years. For 20 years or 15 years, you just carried it. A trigger word pissed you off. Trust me when I tell you, I've been there. I've had moments where I got made fun of so bad that it snapped me back to when I was in middle school and high school. So I ain't saying this as somebody who ain't never been through something. I know, because I've battled through stuff too. We have to understand that the platform is just for that, for us to stay connected and remain social. You do not have to throw away the very essence of who you are to get ahead. You're never going to be happy. You're never going to be fulfilled. You're never going to be fulfilled mentally. You're never going to be fulfilled spiritually. You may profit for a small time financially, but it's going to get to a point where that ain't going to fill you. That's not going to sustain you. It's just not. It just don't work that way. So this is more so an encouragement to what you see is what you get with me. That's how I rock. That's how I roll. That's how I've been on this podcast since I started it. What you see is what you get. What you see is what you get with Jeff.
Yep, you got to water me down sometimes.
Yeah, sometimes I'm like, oh, Jeff, they ain't ready for it. You know what I mean? You know what I mean?
I'm who I'm in, man. Like,
right.
You know, I don't expect whatever you expect to come from me, it's coming. Straight up.
Right. And you have to, and see, but the thing about it is that people need to understand we have peace over who we are. Me and Jeff have been friends for, now it's over a decade. Well, 12 years now? Yeah. So
once we hit 2021, the beginning of 2021, 12 years.
Mm-hmm. So when you sit back and look at the friendship that we've had, we have had discussions where we disagreed, and there's some we agreed on stuff. But Jeff knows this is what I get when I meet Everett. This is what I get when I'm in contact with Everett. Everett knows this is what I get when I'm in contact with Jeff. We both know each other well enough to know what we're getting. I know Jeff is going to want to do this, that, and the third. I know Everett's going to want to do this, that, and the third. I know Jeff is not going to want to do this, that, and the third. Jeff sure knows Everett ain't going to do this, and that. So what you have to understand, folks, is that there's peace in understanding who you are and being authentic and not compromising your morals or what you grew up with. There's nothing wrong with that. It's not the uncool thing to do. It's a cool thing to do. I'm peculiar. I was always peculiar growing up. I never fit in, ever. Everything about me was not going with the flow, ever. Ever. I talk too proper in one circle. I'm too militant, or I'm too blunt in another circle. My Christian values were always ridiculed. You want to know the crazy part about it is the people that accepted me and level with me the most was people who weren't even Christian.
I don't even believe.
But I'm bringing that into, I'm saying this to a point, and I'm saying this so you guys understand. A lot of the people that I've come in contact with, I'm not bashing Christians because there have been Christians that have accepted me, but I'm saying this so people understand. The circles and the close circle of friends that I do have, if you ever have met them, they're all from different backgrounds, and they all have accepted me. Keep in mind, not everybody grew up where I grew up. Not everybody followed the same religion I followed. Not everybody grew up in the household I grew up in. But there's a commonality there where I remained authentic. The one thing nobody can say about me is Everett has a base of beliefs that he sticks with, that he sticks by, and he ain't compromising them. That's just authentic. That's just being authentic. There's some stuff I have a line. There's some stuff I just won't do. I'm not bashing nobody. I just won't do it. So there's nothing wrong, folks, with being authentic to who you are. At the end of the day, this is your life. And the decisions that you make and how you carry yourself is either going to be for your benefit or it's going to be for your deficit. And you have to figure out, what do you want to do? I hate to break it to you. Your friends don't dictate your life. Your parents don't dictate your life. They guide you through your life up to a certain point. But at that point, they're just an advisor. And there's somebody that you go to. Even the president of the United States has a counsel. Now, if he listens to it, that's his choice. Same with you. That's your choice if you want to listen. So that is my final thoughts. Jeff, you got anything to say before I close?
I just want, whenever we join this podcast, or even if I'm not even on this damn podcast, I just want someone to take away from each episode that no matter what situation you're in, what's going on in the world, what your beliefs are, what someone else's beliefs are, it doesn't stop anybody from using kindness, from just trying to unite, whether you can unite or not. We're sitting here telling you from each and every aspects of our life that me and him, or Everett and I, we're completely freaking different. He literally just broke it down to you. And if you were listening in the beginning, I'm a dude from the hood who played sports, who got into fights, who did stupid shit growing up. And that didn't stop me from getting to a point to where I knew what my life had to be. I knew what my values needed to be. It didn't stop me from being a toxic person in other people's lives. People value me. They don't look at me as that dude from the hood. You know, my family doesn't try to shy away from me. They don't try to ignore my phone calls because they think I'm calling for something. You know, you have an opportunity, whether it's a shallow opportunity or whether it's, you know, just a non-existent opportunity. Go take an opportunity. Don't say you can't get a job and you only put in one application. Don't say that you can't be friends with somebody just because they got smart with you or you don't like the way they act. You can't understand somebody unless you get in there to understand them. All the hate that's going on in the world today, you don't have to be that person that's spewing the hate. If each and every person decided to rule with love, decided to just dismiss it all, dismiss all the hate. If you can't agree on all lives matter, Black lives matter, agree that lives matter. If you can't agree that blue lives aren't a fucking thing, just agree that their lives matter as well. Doesn't have to be what people make it. Don't let the agenda take over the good. That's all I really need to say, man. I just want to unite people. That's what we're here to do. Next episode, I would like for us to get in here and talk about mental health and shit. Maybe get somebody on here that needs some help. Somebody needs somebody to talk to. If you need to talk to us, hit us up. He'll tag us in the podcast and on the Facebook and all that stuff. Hit us up.
Yeah, especially this time this fall with everything going on. Hearing the echo. Okay, we're good. With everything going on with everything, that is something that I want to do for an episode. So for those of you, and if need be, we will keep you anonymous. I edit all the audio and video, so if you don't want your face seen, you don't have to see it. We will definitely keep your identity under wraps for those of you who who are sensitive towards that. But I'm opening this up to anybody. If you guys want to come on, anybody who wants to come on for an episode and needs help with mental health. Now, keep in mind, we are not specialized in mental health coaching, but if you need advice, if you need encouragement, or a friend for an hour to talk to, someone to talk to,
goes a long way.
You can come
man.
on the show. You can come on the show and get this encouragement. So that's what we are looking to do. This show has had a lot of different nuances and agenda. Not a negative agenda, but more so an agenda of always getting perspective. That's been the common thread with this show, is getting perspective, whether you disagree or with some things you don't. The reality of the situation is that we wanted to make people feel better. We wanted people to be educated, and we also wanted to learn from each other. And throughout the number of episodes that I've done, each and every one, I've learned something. And I don't have a problem giving that advice, giving that game to somebody that really needs it. There is somebody right now that struggles with self-confidence. There is somebody right now that with everything going on, your mental health is in the tubes. Somebody probably had suicidal thoughts the night before. We don't know. But the one thing that I want everybody to know is that you are loved, you are cared for, your life matters, and feel free to hit us up on Audio Airstrike, man. Feel free to hit us up on the email. The email is audioairstrikepodcast@gmail.com. Once again, the email is audioairstrikepodcast@gmail.com. For those of you who want to come on the show and just get just a word of encouragement, feel free to call in. Feel free to be a part of the Zoom invite. We want to spread enough love around, especially in this time. We're going into the fall season, folks. These leaves are going to change, and by the time December hits, all these leaves are going to be gone. That imagery plays with people's depression. So trust me, I know. So it's one of those situations where we just want to keep people encouraged. And if we can talk with somebody and have them make a better decision and, feel accepted rather than be tolerated, then we've done our job. So very, very important you guys, we're pretty much Audio Airstrike on all platforms. Hit us up, DM us on Instagram. You can send a DM via Facebook. For those of you who have my personal Facebook personally that are hearing this, you guys know you can message me. Some of you guys got my personal number, which I won't share on here for personal reasons. You guys can message me on my private Facebook as well. So there's a lot of avenues to reach out to us and get in contact with us. I don't know when we are going to do this episode, but I will be waiting to get that feedback and to get people coming in that want to call in, that want that encouragement for their mental health. So with that being said, man, Jeff, I want to thank you for coming on. This has been an excellent episode.
Always a pleasure.
Yeah,
Always
absolutely, man. And we are working currently right now, folks. We are working out some things where we're going to be bringing people on that are actually a part of the community. We are going to be bringing on people that are specialized and help people out with their mental health, bringing on some fitness coaches. We also are going to bring on entrepreneurs from multiple different, from multiple different fields, just to give insight and education on just making yourselves better. If you want to help out in the community, at the end of the day, folks, we are about activism and self-help. So that is what this platform is all about. I'm no better than you. I'm just somebody that just wants to use this platform to invoke change and make life better for somebody else. So with that being said, Jeff, thank you for coming on once again. Jeff will be back on. Please believe me. For those of you that know me and Jeff, we will definitely be back on together at some point.
I'll be back.
Yep. So with that being said, this has been another edition of Audio Airstrike. Until next time, everybody, y'all take care. Have a blessed one.